Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Malloy. Always appreciate when I get that extra 2 inches plus 5'7". I'll take the 5'9". I always wondered if that was Coach Dooley trying to intimidate the team we were playing that week when they had to look at the scout report. So I don't think that was it. First of all, I'd like to thank the board of directors for the Macon Sports Hall of Fame for this tremendous honor. I'm very humbled for this. I also want to congratulate all the other 2022 inductees. I know that you're very proud of your accomplishments. I know your families, friends, coaches, and teammates are very excited to be here and be a part of it. I was extremely fortunate to have been able to play for 4 Macon Sports Hall of Fame coaches. 2 head coaches, Mark Faraba and Bobby Brown were head football coaches with me. Phil McElroy, defensive coordinator, and Jimmy Turner as head baseball coach, all members of Macon Sports Hall of Fame. I also had the honor of being able to coach for a year for another Macon Sports Hall of Famer, and that's Coach Barney Hester. I was thinking about that 1 year, which I think every athlete should have to coach and teach for a year. You'd appreciate every teacher and coach that you had. The year I coached at Tatnall with Coach Hester, he had previously won the past 3 state championships in a row. The year I was there, we made it to the championship and lost, so Coach, I guess I'll take the blame for that one. With all those coaches, I think everybody here that's been in Macon for a long time has been able to follow them and see what a great job that they have done guiding young men and women in Middle Georgia and teaching them all the great things that sports has to offer. I can't thank you all enough, and I appreciate it very much. I will say a little bit more about Coach Faraba. He took over our senior year as the head coach when Bobby Brown retired. Coach Faraba was at the ripe old age of 28 years old. Is that correct? There was a picture in the Macon Telegraph when we won the state championship that showed Coach Brown handing the state championship over to Coach Faraba. It was on a silver platter with the state championship trophy to symbolize that all Coach Faraba had to do was just walk in and coach. That's not true. What he did is he completely changed our defense and switched to what the University of Georgia was running at the time. If you remember, I wasn't very happy about that, but then he also changed the offense from the old Notre Dame box to an I formation, which opened up offense a lot more. And so he led a bunch of young men to the state championship that year, and there's no way that we could have done it. And thank you, Coach. I love you for it. The other coaches that I would like to thank and recognize is Joe Childs, Ed Middlebrooks, and Pat Rabin, who all were part of my high school experience. The next group that I'd like to thank and recognize, I know we don't have the time, so I can't say all their names, but I do want to thank all my teammates that I had growing up at First Presbyterian. I kind of looked at, and by no means were we like the Georgia defense of this year, but it really reminded me of how our team was. We had a bunch of selfish, unselfish players that came together, worked hard, made my job very easy, and I thank every one of them, and they're great friends, and I love them to this day. On to the University of Georgia. I do want to recognize my coaches there. Obviously, everybody knows Coach Vince Dooley, the College Football Hall of Fame coach, who was my coach for 3 years. Bill Lewis was my position coach that actually gave me the opportunity when I first started. I was then switched over to tailback, I think for my blazing speed. joke. But who I do want to recognize is Coach Ray Goff. He was my position coach for 3 years at running back, and then took over, similar to my high school days, he took over as head coach my senior year. The biggest thing with Coach Goff, number one, he loved all his players. But for me personally, he treated me just like all the superstars that were in the backfield. Players like Tim Worley, Keith Henderson, Rodney Hampton, Laura State, that all played in the NFL. He never made me feel like I was nothing less than the equivalent of those guys. He's been great to me, still is, and I consider him a wonderful friend, and I thank you, Coach Goff. And finally, I want to thank my family. My mother's here. She was my biggest fan. Her and my father never missed a game, home or away, while I was playing from Little League all the way up through the University of Georgia. I want to recognize my sister-in-law, Jan, who was a cheerleader at Georgia. She's always been a great fan. I want to recognize Angie Howell, my girlfriend, who's been a wonderful supporter, and my son, Hunter Round, who I'm more than proud of. And finally, the person that I like to recognize is my brother, Brad. My brother was 2 years older than I was. He was a multi-year All-State, All-City running back at First Presbyterian. Although he didn't know it when I was growing up as a young man, he's the one that made me tough, because I just had to survive. I will tell one quick story, and Coach Fairby, I don't know if you remember this, but I was a sophomore, my brother Brad was a senior. He was the running back, and I was the middle linebacker, and we were at practice. And for some reason, the hole opened up, and I ran straight through and pretty good lick on him. Well, Coach Brown was not very happy about that, so they got back in the huddle. The next play, hole opened up, and he ran slap over me. So I think he and Coach Brown got together and said, we're going to show him who's the boss. So, but I want to thank my brother. It really wasn't until I got to be a little bit older that I realized that he would come back to my high school games when he was a freshman and sophomore at the University of Georgia. I don't know about most of y'all, but when you go off to college, you want to have a good time. But he wanted to come back and watch his younger brother. And that means the world to me. He continued when I was at the University of Georgia and did that. So he continues to be a rock in our family. Unfortunately, my dad's not able to be here with us. And my brother has really kind of stepped in as another father for me. And I just thank you. I love you. And thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and go Dogs.